Good morning or afternoon or evening, Year 3. I hope you're all having a wonderful day. Now, we are on our final chapter of December for the Danger Gang. Now, it is a rather long chapter, so this will be a little bit longer than our usual class reader book. But I don't know about you, but I'm so excited to find out what happens. December. Dear Danger Danny, Merry Christmas. I'm not sure where to begin this letter except to say that was the freakiest night of my life. There were lasers and guard dogs, helicopters, real secret agents, and you. And of course, that big, super, mega enormous twist that none of us saw coming. Okay, before I carry on, I guess I should fill you in all the stuff that happened before we met you at Shadow Tech HQ. Step 1, fake the sleepover. It was the night of the school's Christmas concert, and we'd arranged a sleepover at Charlie's house. We chose his house because we already knew from his birthday party that his parents can sleep through anything. I mean, if they could catch some Z's while a giant hamster nearly ate their child, then I have no doubt we'll be able to sneak out of the house unnoticed. We all pretended to be really sleepy, so Mr. and Mrs. Campbell would send us to bed early. That meant we had to use our acting skills. Oh, is it that time already? You'll think you'll be turning as soon. Best be catching my 40 winks. They totally fell for it and sent us to bed at 8 o'clock. And because we were camping in the living room again, it meant that we could go to bed too, and within 10 minutes we could hear Mr. Campbell snoring. The girls were on the top floor, Mr. and Mrs. Campbell in the middle, and the boys were on the bottom. So we sneaked out. Step 1 of the plan was complete. Step 2, escape from Freaky on bikes. We picked up our bikes, which we'd stashed in the massive town Christmas tree in Freaky Square. I had pre-packed a backpack full of essential supplies: mince pies, triple fudge donuts, chocolate coins, a slice of last night Freaky pizza, extra cheese, a flask of hot chocolate, spare socks, a spork, a Santa's hat, a torch, Zach Danger's Super Spy Guide to Secret Missions, the best book ever, and toilet roll, just in case. My backpack was so much heavier than I remember when I lifted it from the tree. I guess it was because Dad had splashed out the double quilted loo roll, even though it feels exactly the same on your bum. I threw it in my backpack anyway, and we pedalled like we'd never pedalled before. After what felt like hours of hardcore pedalling through the crunchy snow-covered streets under the yellow glow of street lamps, we decided to stop for a snack. Everyone gathered around my backpack as I unzipped it and nearly had a heart attack. I had no idea how or when that little chocolate thief Max got in there, but it was too late to take him back home now, or we'd fail our mission. Max wasn't the only backpack stowaway either. I caught Charlie secretly feeding carrot sticks to Mr. Fluffles, who was currently in normal hamster form inside the exercise ball. "What's that rat doing here?" Ronnie barked. "He's a hamster, not a rat, and I wasn't going to leave him at home. He's my sidekick," Charlie said, looking lovingly at Mr. Truffles. As cool as psychics are, we now had two extra living things to worry about on a mission. Our only choice was to make them honorary members of the Danger Gang and push them on with slightly fewer snacks, thanks to Max. That sucked, but at least it meant that step 2 was complete. Step 3, meet you at Shadow Tech HQ. The ride to Greyville was so weird. It was like going back in time in my old life. I thought about giving the gang a grand tour of my former town, but when I heard the town hall clock chime strike 9. Oh my goodness. But when we heard the town hall clock chime 9, I knew we had get into Shadow Tech HQ as fast as we could. Well, thanks to my navigational skills, it wasn't that hard to find. But the moment we got there, I knew something was wrong because you weren't there. "Where's Danny?" Ronnie scoffed. She said she'd be here," said Molly, looking worried. "I told you she didn't exist. She's just his imaginary girlfriend," teased Ronnie. "She's not my girlfriend, and 100% she is real," I snapped. "If she is real, then she'd probably be too scared to get involved with a super top secret Danger Gang business," said Ronnie. "Just as you did that sweet wheelie around the corner." I wish I had a photo of Ronnie Nutbolt's face at that moment. With you there, step 3 and the Danger Gang were both complete for the first time, and I couldn't help thinking that there was suddenly a strange energy in the air around us. Obviously, that just turned out to be Max's nappy. Since I didn't know he'd be coming on the mission, I hadn't bought any clean nappies, so we were just going to have to use the aroma and get on with it. Step 4, take back Mum's weather ray. Okay, I confess, I had totally underestimated this step. There was the drawbridge over the moat filled with deadly piranhas, the first security guard, the whole canteen full of security guards, the laser defence system, the cameras, the patrol dog, and all suddenly looked impossible. The controls to lower the bridge are on the other side, you noticed, pointing over the water that was alive with the hungry splashes of piranhas below. I totally meant when I totally meant when I gave the order to abort mission. There was no way we're getting inside. Just go home, I said sulkily. Too late, said Susie, staring at the back of the deadly moat filled with flesh-eating piranhas, where a skinny boy was removing his shorts and about to jump in. Eric, no, I cried. But Susie was right. It was too late. Eric dived headfirst into the backwater. He's done for, you screamed, but we all knew something up his sleeve. Suddenly, thousands of flesh-eating fish who usually looked terrified were leaping out of the water. It was though they were all trying to get away from something. And they were. Shark Eric torpedoed across the moat unharmed and shot up the bank of the other side to where the drawbridge controls were. He lowered the large metal bridge, and within a minute we crossed it. That was awesome, you high-fived Eric. Thanks. If you think that's cool, you should see what the others can do, said Eric, who was now back to human mode. As you looked around at the Danger Gang, I could tell you were thinking the same thing. We will all use our freaky abilities, Molly said, and we could work together, said Susie. Then maybe we could, said Charlie. Wah! Screeched Max. The sound of his cry echoed across the moat, and I thought it would surely alert someone if we didn't find a way to make him quiet. I tried everything, cooing, singing, biffing myself on the nose, but nothing was working. For crying out loud, can you not understand a word he's saying? Snapped Ronnie. He wants a snack. Charlie quickly reached into his bag, pulled out the carrot sticks and handed it to Max, and he stopped crying instantly. Wait, you can understand him? I gasped. Ronnie nodded. You can understand my brother's cry? Yeah, ever since that freaky thing happened to me in the summer, you know, where I had to change my... We remember, I said, wanting to not relive it. Right, well, since then I've been able to understand babies, Ronnie said as if it was no big deal. A few moments later, the Danger Gang was running towards Shadowtech, ready to face whatever obstacles they put in our way with my baby brother, silent and smiled, strapped into the back of his new best friend babysitter, Ronnie. Molly fooled the security guard by turning invisible and stealing his keys. Charlie unscrewed the lid of Mr. Fluffle's exercise ball, carefully dropped a few pieces of sweet and salty popcorn inside, screwed the lid back on, and rolled the ball into the whole canteen full of security guards, enjoying their coffee break. We dived for cover outside and heard the shattering of the ball, followed by terrifying screams. As the security team ran for their lives, Katie backflipped through the maze of lasers, squeezing through the tightest of gaps that only someone as tiny as her would have been able to manage, until she was on the other side and disabled them. I spotted Susie staring at the security camera facing us, and took a deep breath and held in. And instead of turning red in the face like any other kid would, she turning pumpkin orange. I thought for a second she was going to explode into the huge round pumpkin like she did at Halloween, but instead her fingers turned as green as a forest and shot out like long twisting vines, which she used like whips to smash the lens of the spy cameras. That's cool. Jamelia turned to the guard dog with a Freybug fur that now kept tied around her wrist as a bracelet, and the fearsome hounds lowered in obedience at the scent of the legendary dog. We were all doing it. The plan was actually working. Plus, running through the corridors of Shadowtech with you was so cool. I finally had my sidekick back, and you were way better than a hamster. It must have been how Batman felt with Robin back from holiday. All we had to do now was to find the weather ray and get out of there. Everyone had gone, so with his next bit seemed to be super easy peasy, until Katie squeaked and pointed at something moving up ahead. Something dark and grey on the walls. A shadow, then another one, and then another. Until there was a whole squad of Shadowtech shadow guards patrolling the corridor ahead of us, and they all stopped outside one door. It looked hopeless. There was no way we were going to get past them. We'd already failed against one back at the school, and this was a whole squad. But then you had a bright idea. What do shadows hate? You asked. I shrugged and pulled out the torch in my backpack and flicked it on. Light. It was an awesome idea, but there was no way one little torch was going to be bright enough to wipe out those shadow guards. But when we all whipped out our torches and flicked them on, I grabbed my trusty pencil case torch from the rucksack as well, and as I switched it on, I noticed a familiar crackle of green light around it, zapping from the torch handle and along my hand. That's when something freaky happened in Greyville. All the lights in Shadowtech HQ dimmed a little, as though the power was being sucked out of them. Then Katie gave me another little squeak. Frankie, she gasped. You're glowing. I looked down. My hand was pulsing with a weird green light as if I had light bulbs underneath my skin. As I stared, the light started spreading all along my arm, and in just a few seconds, my entire body was glowing. My skin was tingling like there was an apple fizzablom running through my veins, and the light was still getting stronger. Soon my friends were covering their eyes with their hands. I was brighter than the sun. What is going on? I heard one of the shadow guards mutter, and suddenly I knew what to do. It's danger time. And we'll have to find out how they managed to get, or hopefully manage to get, the weather ray back tomorrow. I will see you then. Bye, guys.